So, we're starting this podcast off. This is the journey home, the story of us. We're here with Bucky and Mimi, and we are going to be reading some. We don't have, you have your book Tales on the Winds of Time, but we're reading some from one of your discords called Growth of Soul that you have a
Yes.
lot into. Um, and I believe this is episode 8 that we're on now. We've already done 7 episodes previously to this. And we were going to do something different. We ended up picking different stories today, but there's going to be a series coming after it with the last 2 stories. They'll be split down into kind of like a little mini series for each podcast, which can be a little bit exciting for other people. And you put a lot into that, Bucky, so thank you.
Yes, Rose. It's a lot of work gathering everything together.
Hey, I would, and you're writing it. Me, I'd be like, all right, I give up. I'm going to go paint.
No, I'd be like, no, I got to get this done because Rose will be like, we need more stories.
You're the one asking me. I'm like, I didn't even think of anything. I want to welcome Mimi. Thanks for coming to be part of the podcast as another perspective that could offer some good wisdom and knowledge for other people who are listening. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Okay, so.
I'm not. Oh, go on.
No, go ahead.
Sorry.
You're good.
I'm not too sure how much perspective I will bring and how much change I'll bring, but I'm like really excited to share my opinions and just be here.
Yeah, we're always open to everybody's perspective because we never disregard that because that would be disregarding the person.
Right. And every perspective matters because there are
Yeah.
people who are journeying along a path that's following Bucky, myself, and even you, Mimi, so that this way people can understand from where they're sitting at that, hey, I view the same thing, and you can understand that.
Sounds very nice.
So I'll start as we're going to do, and Mimi wanted to read, so it'll be all 3 of us taking turns reading. We're going to start with a series you did called A Glimpse into History. Before I do that though, Bucky, what was your inspiration behind this little section, the glimpse into history stories?
Sort of, um, just something that came to mind about what would it be like the whole X-Men Wolverine thing, how in the comic books he lived through different parts of history and he was able to experience that, and then he was he lived up to the modern day. So I took that and put a spin on it, except for I went further back in history, all the way back to, I think it was Aztec times, and brought the main character all the way into the now.
So an
So I
interesting.
got
Go ahead.
what?
I was gonna say an
So I
interesting view.
got Go ahead.
An interesting view into the strings of, well, immortality in a way, because the
Yeah,
Wolverine stories didn't die, but then you went back even further, so that ties quite a bit in.
yeah. And you get where I think I put more historical accuracy into my story. Like I give you more detail on that aspect of it than they really did. They just gave you a glossed over view of it. I told you about his. You'll see it. I told you about his life in each period of time that I put in the story. I put a bit of a glimpse into his life.
Okay, so I'll start with the first one, and then we'll go from there. I'm really interested in this. This is some of the science fiction stuff that I used to like, fantasy, that stuff that I'd really get into when I was younger. So, okay. First one in this series is Warrior's Legacy. In ancient times, in a land where the sun kissed the earth with warmth and the mountains whispered tales of ancestors, there lived a warrior whose spirit was woven into the very fabric of history. This warrior was not bound by a single tribe or culture. Instead, he roamed the vast landscapes, embodying the essence of countless peoples and their struggles. From the earliest days, he found himself among the Aztec warriors, where the call to arms resonated like thunder in the skies. Trained from childhood, these warriors wielded clubs and javelins, their hearts beating in unison as they faced the enemy. The warrior stood tall, launching missiles alongside his brothers before engaging in the fierce hand-to-hand combat that defined their valor. The earth trembled beneath their feet as they fought for honor and the glory of their ancestors. As time flowed like a river, the warrior journeyed to the realm of the Maya, where the art of war had evolved. Here he learned to wield the atlatl, the spear thrower that sent death flying through the air. The tactics of ambush and frontal assault were etched into his soul, and he danced with the shadows of the jungle, leading his comrades into a battle against rival clans, their fates intertwined like the roots of ancient trees. The winds of change carried him to distant lands during the Crusades, where holy fervor fueled the hearts of men. He fought with those who sought to claim sacred ground, witnessing the rise and fall of empires. The cries of the fallen echoed in his ears, a reminder of the cost of ambition. In this realm of conflict, he became both a guardian and a warrior, navigating the tides of faith and desperation. The whispers of revolution called him next. In a land where the rich feasted while the poor starved, he stood among the common folk as they rose against tyranny. The fervor of the French Revolution ignited a fire within him, and he fought for liberty, equality, and the birth of a new world. His spirit was intertwined with the struggles for justice, and he became a symbol of hope for those who dared to dream for a brighter future. Years passed, and the echoes of war led him to the vast plains of Texas, where the clash of nations unfolded. As borders shifted and loyalties were tested, the warrior stood resolute, a testament to resilience in the face of adversity. He witnessed the birth of new nations and the heartache of lost ones, his heart forever etched with the stories of those he fought alongside. In the trenches of global conflict during the world wars, his essence remained unbroken. He fought not for a single flag, but for the ideals of humanity, standing shoulder to shoulder with brothers and sisters from every corner of the earth. The battles were fierce and the toll was heavy, but his legacy grew with each conflict, a reminder of the strength found in unity. Through the fog of time, he journeyed to Vietnam and Korea, where ideologies clashed and the struggle for freedom took on new dimensions. He became a silent witness to the pain and sacrifices, lending his spirit to those who fought for their beliefs, bridging cultures and histories in the name of peace. Even in the shadows of the Spanish American War, the War of 1812, and the Napoleonic Wars, his legacy endured, a reflection of the resilience of the human spirit. He was not just a warrior in battle, he was a guardian of stories, a keeper of memories, and a symbol of hope for generations to come. In every culture and society, he left behind a mark, a legacy of courage and unity. The warrior who had walked the paths of countless peoples became a legend, his spirit living in the hearts of those who dared to fight for what was right. And so, his story is told, a reminder that in every battle and every struggle, the essence of humanity endures, forever intertwined into the tapestry of time.
I really like that one.
A very seasoned warrior, I should say. Um, it would be really nice to understand. Well, you could see the common threads, why people fight and what wars come from. But again, this warrior is fighting for unity, for humanity, for people to be breathing free air, fresh air, to not be oppressed. So a lot of these wars that have gone through and seeing the different flares of why people conflict, why there is friction between people and beliefs. I like that contrast that you portrayed in there between each time period.
Yeah, that's what I was going for. I was going for, instead of talking about the fight, I was talking about why the fight was even being fought. Take it that little bit beyond a certain perspective to give you a different perspective on why somebody would want to fight in those battles or those wars or however you would want to look at
I think you did a really like good job showing that because this person has been around for so long that you think that he would be tired because, most like wars and battles and things that have like, happened throughout history usually have the same common cause. But to always be willing to take up arms against that cause, to always be the one to like stand against that cause, there's always someone that needs to be able to do that. And for him to continuously be in belief that he is going to continue to be there for the people is, really interesting in terms of like you don't really see that. You always see them fighting the fights, but you never see them wanting to fight the fights for the reason they're fighting. And to like that's like the winds in his sails that keep him going.
yeah, he was always saw it from his own perspective and was like, well, this is what I'm fighting for, and I'm not really against what we're fighting for or what the other side is for. It's just this is why I'm here.
Hmm.
It brings an understanding to, like we are talking about, sacrifice, to just the way humanity struggles, because this character could easily, this warrior could easily have gone, okay, well, I lived for a long time, so therefore why not be ruthless, right? He could easily have swayed the other way towards the villain side. And what it is that he's showing that he understands humans and how human beings evolved, how suffering is, to want to actually be a healer, a guider, a guidance, a guardian, as well as a warrior. That's
Yeah,
something very very different after going through how many wars, like Mimi was saying. Like, how tired would you be? How tired would you be? Like, all right, I'm not doing this again. Could easily have gone just a little bit the other way, and he didn't. He still had honor in his heart. It's a good quality to embody.
yeah.
Thank you. All right, who wants to read the next one?
Nature's protector. Is that the
Yes.
next one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can read that.
All right.
In the shadowy mountains of the west, where the winds whispered tales of ancient warriors, lived a man named Talak. He was no ordinary man. He was a warrior whose legacy spanned centuries and cultures. From the fierce battlegrounds of the Aztecs to the tumultuous conflicts of world wars, Talak had carved his name into the annals of history. Yet now he sought solace in the quiet embrace of nature, far from the clamor of war. Tulloch had established a homestead high in the mountains, surrounded by lush forests and crystal clear streams. His days were spent tending to his land, reflecting on a life filled with valor and sacrifice. Peace, as he knew all too well, often hung by a fragile thread. One fateful afternoon, while hiking through the dense woods, Tulloch stumbled upon a makeshift camp. The acrid smell of smoke and the sinister silence of the deadened forest alerted him to the presence of poachers. Hidden in the underbrush, he observed a group of men, their hands stained with the blood of countless slain animals. Anger surged within him, igniting memories of battles fought for honor and the protection of the innocent. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting shadows like specters among the trees, the poachers caught sight of Talek. They exchanged glances, sizing him up, one of them smirking, brandishing a knife. Looks like we have ourselves a hunter, he taunted, believing the old man would be an easy target. Vitalik was not just a mere man, he was a warrior forged in the fires of conflict. He had faced enemies far stronger than they, and he had learned to adapt and overcome. With a swift motion, he retreated into the shadows, moving with the stealth of a mountain cat. The poachers, emboldened by their numbers, split up to search for him, believing they could take him down easily. Tulloch recalled the weapons of his past, tools of war that had served him well. With ingenuity born from centuries of experience, he began to craft traps and weapons from the materials around him. Using sharpened sticks and vines, he fashioned a primitive yet effective spear, reminiscent of the Ottolal he had wielded in his youth. He also collected stones, crafting them into deadly projectiles reminiscent of the slings he had used long ago. As the poachers scattered deeper into the woods, Tulloch struck. The first man, oblivious to the danger, stumbled into a pit he had dug, covered with leaves. The thud of his fall echoed through the trees, panic setting in among the remaining poachers. Tulloch moved silently, a specter of vengeance, dispatching the second man with the precise throw of a stone that found its mark. The remaining poachers, realizing their fate, regrouped and began to hunt Tulloch. They yelled and cursed, their bravado masking their fear, but Tulloch was calm, drawing upon the strategies he had learned through decades of warfare. He led them deeper into the forest, using their terrain to his advantage. With the fading light, Tulloch lured them into a narrow ravine. As they entered, he unleashed a barrage of stones from above, disorienting them. The first man fell, his cries echoing off the walls of the ravine. Tulloch descended swiftly, wielding his spear like an extension of his own body, striking with the precision of a seasoned warrior. In the chaos, the leader of the poachers, a burly man with a scarred face, charged Tulloch, driven by rage. Their struggle was fierce, a dance of life and death that echoed the battles of old. Tulloch leveraged his agility and experience, sidestepping the man's charge, brought the spear down with all his strength. The echo of the strike was a testament to his legacy, a reminder of the countless battles fought in the name of justice. As the last of the poachers lay defeated, Tulloch stood amongst the fading light, breathing heavily. The forest once again was silent. He looked down at the fallen men, a mix of sorrow and relief washing over him. Though they had taken lives, they had not understood the sacredness of nature, nor the price of their greed. With the authorities alerted by the echoes of the struggle, Tulloch returned to his homestead under the cover of twilight. He knew he had fought not just for the animals of the forest, but for the very spirit of the land he had come to love. As he settled down for the night, he felt the weight of his legacy, not as a warrior alone, but as a protector, a guardian of life standing resolutely against those who would do harm. In his heart, he knew that while he had fought countless battles, the fight for nature would never truly end.
Thank you. I actually like that one is more kind of like a Rambo story. But it's a
It is
lot.
very Rambo.
Yeah, it is a lot of the story because you were talking in the first one we were talking about Vietnam and Korea. A lot of it was like guerrilla warfare tactics, so very much like traps and stuff like that were set against people that were encroaching in territory, especially in the woods and forest and whatnot. But and I do like that he's also defending, he's with nature, even just bringing that balance back to fight for something that is home.
Yeah. He still kept that side of himself, even though he was like, well, I want to find peace away from it all. He still has that side of him that is still willing to fight for a cause while others are trying to destroy it. Sort of like how it was with him in the wars. He wasn't against the war and he fought on a certain side of the war, but he did it for his own reason, not to further the agenda of the war.
It kind of brings about like when people, especially a lot of soldiers that come back or even warriors that come back that have a little bit of PSTD because they're not, you're trying to introduce back into peace. Kind of some of them do go off and they're in this hermit mode, right? They want to be alone because you're introducing back into society where a lot of your brain was trained to kind of not always be in fight or flight, but your brain is trained to go into that mode as soon as something arises. So it's kind of like sectioning off your brain. And so he's got this peaceful side that he's living his regular life, and then all of a sudden there's danger here, and you go right back into this other mode, this other side of the person. So
Yeah,
it's I could see how even like today that would be difficult for people coming back. Like again, you just want to live your peaceful life after going through a bunch of stuff, right? You want to go and live your life, and this arises. What do you do? You go right back in
yeah.
that mode. How many other people would probably run?
Probably 9 out of 10.
Go find the warrior.
She,
I do like that again. You had also you have the Adel in there, and that is a cool. I which in a previous episode didn't know how to pronounce, but very cool weapon or even hunting weapon that the people have used back in like prehistoric times. I like how you kind of embody all of those in there as well.
yeah. Remember, I had to interrupt you and tell you how to say Adel. I was like, she's gonna get it.
I, d- I know I didn't know. The thing is that I've taken anthropology courses to know what it is, the picture in my head, but when I looked at the word, I was like, why am I not understanding this?
Yeah,
So thank you.
I got you.
You
Okay,
have the next one.
my turn.
Yes.
This is finding a girl in the heart of the shadowy mountains. Tulok set out one crisp morning, his senses attuned to the whispers of nature around him. He had always found solace in the hunt, a connection to the land that had cradled him for so long. As he moved through the dense underbrush, the quick tranquility of the forest was abruptly shattered by the distant sound of voices, urgent and anxious. Curiosity piqued, Tulak followed the sounds, navigating the rugged terrain with the grace of a seasoned warrior. He soon came upon a search party, their expressions a mix of desperation and determination. They were calling out for a woman who had gone missing the day before, lost in the labyrinth of trails that crisscrossed the mountains. Tulak could see the strain in their eyes, the weight of worry pressing down on them. Drawing closer, he introduced himself, a calm presence amid the chaos. The searchers welcomed his expertise, knowing of his deep understanding of the mountains. With a nod, Tulak led the group along the trails he knew so well, sharing strategies honed from years of survival and conflict. As they searched, Tulak's instinct kicked in. He observed the signs of nature, broken branches, disturbed leaves, and animal tracks. Each clue painted a picture of the woman's journey, guiding him deeper into the wilderness. His heart raced with urgency, recalling the countless lives he had fought to protect in his past. He could not fail this time. After hours of searching, Tulak's keen eyes caught a glimpse of a red scarf caught on a branch, a fragment of hope. He signaled the group to follow him as they approached the area, a steep ravine lined with jagged rocks. The air was thick with tension as they called out her name, but only silence answered. Suddenly, a faint cry echoed up from the ravine. Tulak's heart sank but surged with determination. He immediately devised a plan. He quickly fashioned a makeshift harness from vines and branches, demonstrating his resourcefulness to the searchers. They lowered him down into the ravine where he spotted the woman, injured but conscious, clinging to a ledge. Hold on, Tulak called to her, his voice steady. He reached her side, assessing her injuries. She was battered but alive, her spirit flickering like a candle in the wind. I'm going to get you out of here, he assured her, using the harness to secure her. With practiced precision, he began the ascent, guiding her up the treacherous rocks while providing encouragement. Once back on solid ground, the search party erupted in cheers, a wave of relief washing over them. Tulak, though exhausted, felt a surge of pride. He had not only saved a life, but also restored hope to those who feared the worst. The woman was taken to the nearby settlement for medical attention, and Tulak watched as she reunited with her family, tears of gratitude flowing freely. Time passed, the seasons changed, and the forest thrummed with life once more. One day, as Tulak tended his homestead, he heard footsteps approaching. To his surprise, the woman he had rescued stood at his doorstep, a radiant smile on her face. Tulak, she said, her voice warm with gratitude. I came to thank you for saving my life. I wouldn't be here without you. Tulak met her gaze, the weight of their shared experience lingering in the air. It was my honor to help, he replied, a rare smile gracing his features. You showed courage in a time of fear. They spoke for hours, sharing stories of the mountains and the lessons learned from their respective journeys. Tulak realized that his legacy as a protector extended beyond the battles of old. It now encompassed the bonds forged in the spirit of survival. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting golden light across the landscape, Tulak felt a renewed sense of purpose. He was not just a warrior, he was a guardian of life, and in that moment he knew that his fight for nature and humanity would continue, intertwined in the fabric of his existence.
Thank you for, again, that one was more about how his purpose and your a person's purpose can even be defined in any moment, but that even those skills that you learn can be extended to just what be considered something, I say mundane, but more not the heat of a battle. Still can be extended to even just helping people on the everyday front. So
Yeah,
as we were talking about that, talking about how it was harder to adjust to things that are everyday things for somebody who's a warrior.
yeah.
I think Mimi had something she was going to say.
Oh, sorry. I was just thinking. But yeah, I mean, it's very interesting, like you said, to see how he takes his skills from when he like was a warrior and he was fighting, and now he's like transitioning those skills. And you see that a lot nowadays with a lot of army veterans who go on to work for EMT, police departments, search and rescue, things like that. You just see them take those skills that they have learned and move it over to something that's not as high like risk, not well, most of them are high risk, but I mean not as like high danger or high demand in that it's constantly life or death, constantly, oh, if I step here or misstep there, something's going to go wrong. No, you watch them kind of lower it down to where they can use these skills that they've had throughout the day and just throughout life and into their careers. And you see that as like a good example here with Tolek saving the girl and saving the woman and being able to use his skills as a tracker and use his skills as a hunter and his knowledge of the terrain to find this woman as quickly as possible.
I agree. And it makes, I would make one wonder though too, is that how many skills does each one of us know, like the ones here in this chat, but also more people know that are just, they take it. I mean, how often do you even take your own skills for granted? That you may have a skill that somebody else isn't, in the face of danger, they're not, maybe not going to be able to use. Maybe they don't have that, and yet you can utilize it in a way to help somebody. So knowing your purpose in those moments, it helps, again, helps people out. It, don't take your thing, I would say one of your biggest things is don't take for granted all the skills, all of the, even the little things that you are thinking, oh, it's nothing because you may have mastered that skill somebody else is struggling with. That is something that could, again, save a life one day. It could save anybody's life. It could just bring enrichment, like we were talking about perspectives of how it's, everybody's perspectives matter. Every purpose, there's a purpose to it all. So to be able to even bring that into this world and know exactly what to do in those moments, that's evolving. I like that. That's beautiful. Thanks, Bucky. Thanks.
Yeah, I really like that one.
I like the warrior in this series. Okay, so let me ask you, knowing some of your other series before I read the last one here, is this, could this Talak be somebody who's also the great warrior? We see the great warrior in some of your other stories as well. Could that not be an actual embodiment of the great warrior? Because I don't think you've given the great warrior even a name in some of your stories.
No, the Great Warrior is just the Great Warrior. He doesn't have a name. It makes it more mysterious. Like, oh, I want to keep going. Maybe in the next one he'll have a name, or what is he gonna do next, sort of thing.
So we have no clue that this warrior could be the great warrior. It's kind of like the whole,
Could be.
could be like Spider-Man and his alter identity, right? Like he's a superhero.
Yeah.
Yeah, could be. I leave it open to interpretation. Like everything else I write, I try to leave it open to interpretation.
That's
And
good.
when it comes oh, sorry. When it comes to things like this, it's really nice because then you can put yourself as the great warrior. You can put
Yeah,
yourself in their shoes. And then I think it's in which one? It was in Warrior's Legacy where it says that like he's kind of come into like a person that's always just been there and talked about in all these different cultures and stuff. And maybe it could be Tolok, and maybe it could not be because warriors come in different shapes and sizes, and their stories are told differently by different people. And that is how a lot of this is like what Bucky's written. It's storytelling. It's how people communicate their culture and their values and their beliefs. And so I think when you have figures like a great warrior, leaving it up for interpretation leaves you this ability to kind of relate more to them, to kind of understand them in your own perspective, in your own way. And I don't want to like get off topic of any of these stories because we did decide to start with this one. But later on, if when you guys ever get to that, I was reading I think it's Stories from Under the Great Tree, and it is the sorry, I needed like a second to find the name. The
yeah,
Dance of Stars. Yeah, The Dance of Stars reminded me a lot of a story that I grew up with, um, a Sioux story that I was grew up with, where a woman goes out and she finds herself seven brothers, and these seven brothers and herself they end up turning into the stars, and I think that's really interesting. So these stories are especially like when you have stories where it's kind of tied to like superhero stories, it's really great to see that because then you're able to connect to them in a way that is your own and you're able to relate to them. And I think that's where we all kind of fall when we look at superhero stories. We're like, "Ooh, ah."
I agree because again, it's embodying the aspects. They're again the heart space, the honor, those aspects. So you can see yourself in that to be an honorable person, a superhero. I am gonna say when you said we had other stories lined up, I was gonna string together and show how they related, and as we
mm,
talked about, they didn't fit. But you just said a Sue story with seven brothers on there. There is I do a lot of history to tie threads together with other mythologies across the globe. There is a story where the Big Dipper is actually called the Seven Sages, and the Seven Sages, the Big Dipper follows Orion and goes to the Pleiades, which is the Seven Sisters. So you have the Seven Sages and the Seven Sisters, the Big Dipper and the Pleiades. But the Seven Sages, that story actually came from the Rig Veda in Indian mythology, like in India. So all of those stories are tied together. And like you said, they're retelling. We tell them in the movies. We tell them with like the Avengers, the Marvel series. The same embodiments is that, like you said, the inspiration behind this series was like the whole Wolverine thing. They're retold. We see them in the modern culture flair, but they're from old stories. They're from people and the embodiment of their honor and where their ancestors came from. And to embody these um, aspects, they're more like archetypes for us to stand in, where you have mercy, where when you have all of these um, different emotions and different ways of living life that are woven together. So it's actually something very beautiful. I
It
mean,
it really is. And oh, sorry. Go
no, I
on.
was I was gonna say I was interested to know the Sue story with the seven brothers, just because I'm there's a lot of research being put together to tie them all
yeah.
together. So I was sitting here going, wait a second, we could have read that. She would have understood. She would have kind of got a little bit of the string on that.
I can't remember the whole thing. I'll have to like look it up because it's been like a long time since I thought about it. I mean like a really long time because like mind you, a lot of these stories are like told when we're younger, right?
Mm.
And a lot of these, like, as you get older, you kind of stop thinking about them. You kind of stop, like, they're not like big chunks of your time anymore because you've read them, you've learned from them, and you're moving on and you're like learning new things with them as like little whispers in your ear saying, "Hey, this is like, you know, hey, these are the qualities you want to keep pushing in the world. Like this is who the person you want to be. You want to be as heroic as these people, or you want to be as smart as this um person, things like that." So I'll have to look it up and I will send it to you when I get the opportunity and the chance to. And then like you said you have an anthropology background. Well, I have like a sociology background, but I also did take like a folklore class. And what I think was like really interesting was when we were talking about like um the difference between mythology and folklore and stuff like that. Myth was kind of like the sacred text, right? That's how you see it. And that's kind of how like I see other like mythology. So like when we talk about um the Aztecs and I believe it's Kukulkan and all of them and Quetzalcoatl and all that, and then you have the Egyptians and the Norse and all that. We all kind of have like the same idea of these deities, but we're like vastly spread across from each other. And how these all came together is very interesting because, like you said, they have in India their own version. They have the seven sages, we have the seven brothers, and so it's kind of interesting to see how these stories are told differently and how we've all kind of thought of them as like a giant collective of people and that in a way unites us all because we're all finding a way to interpret the world around us and to say why things are there.
It gives it, I agree, and it does expand our awareness, the interconnectedness of all of this, because there is a connection. There's a quantum connection. There's a collective consciousness connection here, and like we were saying, it is so important that everybody's path, everybody's story, everybody's perspective is important. It's valid, and while it may be a piece of a bigger truth, it's still it's still a piece there. It's still a puzzle piece that fits. And instead of us looking at the differences in them, we can celebrate. Okay, look, just because you've called it, we have seven brothers, we have it as the bear, you have it as the Big Dipper, right? There's still this air of the same stories going on. So bringing that together in the connective nature instead of being at odds. This way you're not creating chaos here. We create our division. We can have a unity consciousness.
Of course, because stories unite people, stories bring people together, and stories are a way of telling the next generation like our thoughts and hopes and dreams for them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'll read the last one, and then we're gonna go into this underworld one, which I believe Bucky, you'll get to read the first one on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I have the history inside. In a tranquil valley, where the mountains stood like ancient guardians and the rivers flowed with stories, a solitary figure moved gracefully about his homestead. Each day began with the soft glow of dawn, the golden light spilling over the landscape as he tended to his modest garden. The earth, rich and fertile, yielded vibrant vegetables and fragrant herbs, nurturing by his hands and the wisdom of generations. As the sun climbed higher, he fed the animals that roamed freely around his homestead. The clucking of chickens and the gentle bleating of goats filled the air, harmonizing with the rustling leaves and distant bird calls. He moved with purpose, a rhythm to his actions, and that spoke of years spent in harmony with nature. Every chore was imbued with significance. He understood that each moment honored the spirits of the land and his ancestors who walked before him. After a day spent tending to the earth and its inhabitants, the shadows of the evening began to stretch across the valley. With the sun dipping below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, he paused for a moment, appreciating the beauty surrounding him. The day's work was fulfilling, yet a twilight approached. A call within urged him to visit a special place, the locked shed at the far end of his property. He approached the weathered wooden door, its surface worn smoothly by time and the elements. The lock, though simple, held the secrets of his life's journey. With a gentle turn of the key, the door creaked open, revealing a sanctuary of memories and treasures collected throughout the years. Inside, the air was cool and scented with the musk of aged wood and leather. Dim light filtered through a small window, illuminating a tapestry of items that told the tale of a life richly lived. The first object that caught his eyes was a beautiful crafted spear, its shaft adorned with intricate carvings depicting the stories of his people. The blade, forged from obsidian, glinted in the low light, a reminder of the battles fought and the skills honed during the travels among ancient clans. Next, he reached for a weathered leather pouch, its surface soft from years of handling. Inside, delicate beads of turquoise and bone rattled softly against one another, each one a token from distant lands and cultures. They whispered of encounters with others who had shared their stories, their struggles, and their victories. He smiled, remembering the laughter and camaraderie forged in the fires of friendship. On a shelf nearby rested a set of ceremonial masks, each one unique and full of character. One mask, painted in vibrant shades of red and yellow, represented the spirit of the sun, an embodiment of life and energy. Another, darker and more somber, depicted the essence of the earth, grounding him in his roots and the wisdom of his ancestors. These masks, carefully preserved, served as reminders of the rituals that connected him to the universe and the sacredness of existence. His gaze then fell on an old hand-carven wooden box, worn with time yet sturdy in its construction. Inside, he kept fragments of stories, letters written by friends from faraway lands, sketched of sketches of landscapes that had inspired him, and maps marked what places he had journeyed. Each piece was a portal to the past, a testament to the bond forged over time and the shared human experience that transcended borders and cultures. Among the treasures, a beautifully woven basket caught his attention. Its fibers, dyed with natural pigments, displayed vibrant patterns that represented the cycles of life, the sun, the moon, and the changing seasons. This blanket had traveled with him through many hardships, providing warmth and comfort during cold nights and serving as a canvas for reflection and dreams. As he wandered through the shed, he paused before a small altar adorned with stones from different mountains he had climbed. Each stone held a memory, a moment of introspection or revelation, grounding him in the lessons learned from the earth. He placed a hand upon them, feeling the energy pulse beneath his fingertips, a reminder of the connection between all living things. With the day drawing to a close, he took one last look around the shed, absorbing the stories encapsulated within its walls. These items were more than just possessions. They were the essence of his journey, woven together in a rich tapestry of experiences. Closing the door behind him, he felt a profound sense of gratitude for the life he had led and the lessons learned along the way. As he stepped back into the twilight, the stars began to twinkle overhead, guiding him home. The warmth of his hearth awaited, a sanctuary of peace where he could reflect on the day's work and the treasures of his past. In that moment, he understood that each day, and the simplicity of tending to his homestead and honoring his history, was a vital thread in the intricate fabric of life.
So, what do you think?
I loved that one. I liked the memories. I liked how it, again, each piece. Okay, so even being into, if going into anthropology or archaeology, can you imagine if somebody came across that shed a couple hundred years from then, a couple thousand even?
Mhm.
They'd be like, who was this person?
He has his own museum, his own museum of all the many lives he lived, and like I think it's interesting to see like what he's picked up throughout his life because it shows you kind of the significance of what he wanted to keep from that time. Because of course you can't keep all of it. He would need more than just a shed, but like to see what he has deemed like valuable throughout his times and the fact that he's still taking care of all of it is very sweet because it just shows that kind of like reflection on your life but also that kind of care you show towards yourself, that kind of like these are my objects, I'm going to take care of them because they are me, they're what make me me, they're what are mine, they resemble bits of me at different times in my life when I was going through different things in life.
Yeah, an
I like
object.
it.
I do. These objects can imbue memories. They like take you back as soon as you touch them or see them. And there's a lot, you know, um, there's a lot of actually people ability to do that, to actually touch an object, whether that be something out in the woods, and to be able to go through that memory of that object. It's nice that he gets to reminisce about it, but he also, again, it takes him right back through like he's right there. And he's bringing it with him. Like you said, he can't take everything with you, but he brings the pieces that are important.
Hmm.
Yeah, did you get the call back to the first story though?
Yeah,
How
what?
everything of the period of what we talked about in the first story. Did you get that?
Yep,
I did. I did as we were reading through.
to
'Cause
the
you could, like
obsidian.
said, you could. Yeah. Oh, go on.
I was gonna say to the obsidian knife. That obsidian, because that goes right back to Aztec. They would use, even Mayans would use a lot of obsidian. That was in
Yeah.
their sacrificial. That was in their warriors would have their spears tipped with it. It was something that in different traditions, like obsidian was used to either capture, embody, or dispel energy, dark energy, negative energy, either from an enemy or for healing. So it's cool to have that right at the beginning, go back right to the beginning of the stories.
It just puts a nice little bow on it, where it could just stop there and that'll be a good ending for it, or you could keep going with it.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Now we're going into the underworld.
We're already in the world.
Oh, okay.
Who's to say? Who's to say we're not in the underworld already?
Mm, we could be. Considering that the underworld in the different myths, even in Egyptian mythology, we see in the Aztec here, that it's displayed as, even in Greek, which came from Egyptian, having mountains, having rivers, being basically what you see here. So who's to say that we're not in an afterlife?
Yeah. Did you ever figure out how to say this dude's name?
The long name in there? No. I know
No,
it's
the
enough.
dude that's gonna be in the main character of the story. Did you figure out how to say his name?
No. I don't know if it's a CH because it's an X in the beginning, or if it would be a like a C. I'm not sure.
Mm. So we're just gonna wing it. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, you can do it as Xochitl.
Chuchito.
Xochitl.
Well, it's not my turn to read next. I was just making sure for when it was my turn.
Or it could be Xochitl. I don't know. However you want to
So
pronounce Xochitl.
Exacto.
Yeah.
Exacto.
Like a Zo, like a Z. I've had people who've
Yes,
had X names like that, and it's pronounced as a
that's
Z.
weird.
I know.
Why? Why? Why?
It's mixed with Spanish.
Oh,
I knew a person named Zoan, which spelled Xoan, kind of like the
so
beginning. Yeah, that was his name.
mm, that's weird.
Well, each their own.
Uh, I'm last, right? So I get the 9 stages one.
Yes.
Okay, I was just making sure.
Okay.
Hey, wait, which one are we on?
We went up to journey through. How do you say that, Rose?
Mictlan.
Yeah, McDillin.
Oh, I found it.
Okay. There's a lot there. I know that you can blame Rose for how many which pellets there are because she's like, well, we need a story about this. Yeah, it's Rose's fault.
Okay.
Uh, that's fine. I've got most of the threads like reduced down so that way I can see most of them. So
I I bet you on yours everything almost everything is lit up, right? You have a little arrow next to everything.
almost, but not most of it. Most of it I've managed to, you know, get done or you get to minimize without being too bright or too eye-catching.
And I keep them all open on mine so that I can see which ones. Did we read them? Do we have to sort them? All right. So I know there's some long
Okay.
names in here. So pronounce them as best as you can. I'll probably
I
mix them up.
try
So.
I try to stay as close to source material without having to use many names that can be mispronunciated,
Mm-hmm,
and in case we don't want to offend anybody,
mm-hmm.
to be like, well, that, like we talked about before, Rose. But yeah, we had to stay pretty close to source, and that's why there's a few long words.
All right.
Okay. So it would be uh okay. In ancient Aztec in the ancient Aztec civilization, it was believed that after death the person's soul would embark on a journey through Mictlan, the underworld. This was a perilous journey filled with challenges and obstacles that the soul had to overcome to reach its final resting place. One man named Xochitl,
Lexicodal.
Exicotl, had lived a long and honorable life. He had been a warrior, a farmer, and a father to many children. When he died, his family mourned him deeply and prepared his body for the journey ahead. Exocotl's soul embarked on this journey through Mictlan, starting in the first level of the underworld. Here, the soul faced a river to cross, which was guarded by a fierce dog. Exolotl remembered that in life he had always treated dogs with kindness, so he approached the creature with respect. The dog allowed him to cross the river safely. In the second level of Mictlan, Exocotl faced a field of thorns which cut and scratched his soul as he tried to make his way through. However, he remembered the times he had helped his fellow farmers clear fields. He was used to this knowledge to navigate the thorns safely. In the third level, Exocotl encountered a fierce wind that threatened to blow him off his path, but he remained strong and resolute, recalling the times he had battled against storms and strong winds. In the fourth level, Exocotl faced a treacherous mountain pass that tested his strength and endurance. He remembered the times he had climbed mountains as a warrior, and using this knowledge, he made it safely through. Finally, Exocotl arrived at the fifth and final level of Mictlan. Here he was confronted by the Lord of the Underworld, Mictlanchulti. Mictlanchulti? Yeah, Mictlanchulti. The Lord demanded that Axolotl offer him a sacrifice, but Exchul oh goodness, please forgive me for all the mispronunciations. Axolotl refused. He knew that sacrificing another being was wrong, and he would not do it even in death. Impressed by Axolotl's bravery and integrity, Mictlanchulti allowed him to pass through his final resting place. Axolotl's soul ascended to the heavens, where he was greeted by his ancestors and joined them in eternal rest. Thus, the story of Axolotl's journey through Mictlan became a legend passed down through generations as a testament to the strength and honor of the Aztec people.
No worries on mispronunciation. Those are very long words. Um, okay, so we were talking about it earlier how they're related. This story through the underworld or the afterlife are oftentimes reflections of what happened during real life, but in the Egyptian Book of the Dead, they go through a similar process. There's other different cultural myths too across the globe that go through this the afterlife world. And it's kind of the same, only reflective and inverse reflective of the soul's journey while it's alive. The soul has the opportunity to still reach an enlightened path by going through these trials or reflecting on how their life was to see what they've learned as they're in the afterlife. And I think, I don't know how much you went into it for, I don't know if you did with this stories, Bucky, but I know that Mictlan had, there's two other underworlds as well, and it depends on their choices while they go through Mictlan, how, which one they go to, which underworld do they get to, like the double slit experiment, like which one do they get into. But I do like that, again, like he's taking everything from his life that he learned, and he's being shown kind of in a test. His soul learned it, he remembered it in the underworld, like clearing fields from thorns, and it's still even a bit of a challenge. But he's getting to meet the person, that the lord of the underworld, to be able to kind of the weighing of the heart thing, to see where he's been.
Yeah. And again, like how you said, how we can take things that we learn throughout our life and use that in different situations.
Well, I mean, like how much of it we see in the underworld. So you have to ask, like if we were just talking about it earlier, how much do we know that we're not living in an afterlife? How much do you know even about death is that we just don't close our eyes and wake up in a different timeline, a different universe, just slightly out of phase with the one that we're currently existing in. So you still carry those aspects, those memories with you, your soul does, into whatever existence or vibration you're going into next.
Yeah. Rose, any idea how you say that? Mictal,
Mictlan,
or
Mictlan Tekuhitl. Tekuhitl. That's a bad, I don't know that one. Some of them I could get.
trying?
That one is pretty long. It's Mictlan
Yeah.
Techu Chetutil.
Mictal and Chuto?
Techutil. I think the C would be like
Chuto.
almost a CH, so instead of a
Yeah.
Techutil, because the U's there.
Can we just skip over the name and just say the god of death?
Yeah. The Lord of Mictlan, Mictlan. Here you go.
Just shorten it. Just shorten it a little.
Here you go.
Yeah. So, but yeah. Anyway, because it's my turn next. That's why I asked that.
You're like, I don't want to be like you guys and pronounce everything wrong.
I know that. That's why I was like, well, forgive me for I I when I first wrote these, it got autocorrected like 4 or 5 times. So imagine writing the paragraph and then having to go back and make sure it didn't autocorrect, and then changing the autocorrect just to have it autocorrect again, then being like, no, this is how I want it spelled. Yeah, it was a pain in the yeah.
And you have a lot of big ones. I'm kind of like glossing over it. You have a lot of other big words in the next one,
Yeah.
so sound them out however you can. I'm sure that somebody who's going to watch this later may be able to give us a better pronunciation, and they're more than welcome to come in
See,
and help us read.
that's why I said, could we just do skim over the big one and then do like the sec if they have a secondary name,
Yeah. Or even just do Mictlan Tech. Let's just go Mictlan Tech.
Okay. But then what if they misinterpret it as a different god? But
Well,
yeah, okay.
invite them to the Discord and they can read it.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm just going to skip over. If I can't pronounce it, I'm not going to read it.
Okay.
And basically, yeah. This is Xochitl's journey through the 9 stages of Mictlan. That's right. Right? Mictlan? Mictlan? Right, Rose? Rose. Asked you a question. Mictlan. Okay. Mictlan. In the land of the Aztecs, there was a man named Xochitl. He lived a long and fulfilling life, but eventually his time on earth came to an end. As his body lay still, his soul began its journey through the nine levels of the Aztec afterlife. The Xochitl soul was first met by uh, the god of death, who guided him through the first level of the afterlife called Mictelish. This level was a dark and dreary place filled with dangerous creatures and treacherous terrain. The Xochitl soul was forced to navigate through the challenges of Mictlan, but with the help of uh, Mic- Mictlan- Mictlantecuhtli, he made it to the second level. The second level was called Tulakan, the realm of the god Tulak, who, who controlled the rain and the fertility of the land. This level was filled with lush greenery, rolling hills, and clear streams. Excato's soul was overjoyed to be in such a beautiful place, but he knew his journey was far from over. The third level was called Tonatuchen, Tonatuchen, the realm of the sun god Tonatu. This level was a place of great heat. Where the sun blazed down upon Excato's soul, he was forced to endure the intense heat and keep moving forward. The fourth level was called Chiloctocan, Chiloctocansin, Chiloctocansin, the realm of those who died in battle. Chulok's soul was met by the spirits of great warriors who had died in battle, and they welcomed him to their realm. There's no way I'm going to say that next one. The fifth level was called something, Chikunamaklen, Chichumanakan, the realm of the dead. Here, Exocato's soul encountered the spirits of his ancestors and other loved ones who had passed on before him. They welcomed him with open arms and guided him through this level. The sixth level was called Chiyoya, the realm of the soul. Here, Excato's soul was purified and prepared for the next level of the afterlife. The seventh level was called Itzikudlin, the realm of the god uh, Exakar, Exakar, who was known as the guardian of the sunset. The level was a place of darkness and shadows and Exalato. But Exocato's soul was not afraid. He knew that he was getting closer to his final destination. The eighth level was called Kaz Kaztukan, the realm of the goddess Ka- Kodliku, Koliko, Kodaako, who was known as the mother of the gods. Here, Exocato's soul was given a final test to prove his worthiness for the ninth and final level. The ninth and final level was called Omeokan, Omeokan, the realm of the spring god Omerico, Om, Om, Ometico. This level was a place of pure bliss and happiness where Escato's soul was reunited with the divine essence from which he had originally been created. Escato's soul had completed its journey through the nine levels of the Aztec afterlife, and he was at peace. He knew that he had lived a good life and that his soul would now rest in eternal happiness.
So I do like that there's 9 stages in this. Um, it's funny how the last stage starts with an O or 0
Yeah,
because a lot of numerology starts 0 through 9. You see a lot of this apologies for Karma. She agrees. Um, there's a lot of 0 through 9. If you look at even the Norse mythology, they also go through these stages too of the afterlife. They You have even Odin, so you have your O name again. So you have Odin who hung upside down on Yggdrasil, the light tree of life, for 9 days.
Mm.
You have this transition even through Emerald Tablet text. They go through ninth is the last layer, the ninth dimensional layer, that you kind of have to go through a curve of, and then you're back out into a whole nother universe. So you go 0 through 9, 9 dimensional layers. 3 dimension is the one that you're kind of like solid. We're in the matter layer. And you get to 9, and that's a whole different universe. And then there's multiple universes. 0 through 9, 0 through 9. They keep repeating itself. So his soul, he gets to this level where, and it's Om, that's funny too. We're again, this the divine essence, this peace, right? This good life. So he can rest in eternal
Yeah.
happiness that gives this era of breaking this realm of limitation 0 through 9 to now repeat itself reflectively in the next one. In the next one, he's eternal and eternal life, eternal light. So each transgressional layer kind of breaks him down into something that's just an essence, like in one of your other stories under the thread, the essence, an essence
Yeah.
of life.
I was just gonna say that. I wrote about something similar to that.
Mm-hmm. What did you think, Mimi?
I thought it was very interesting. I got a lot of Dante's Inferno without so much as like the suffering part. um, because that's what I first thought of when you look at like the 9 stages and you think of the underworld. The first thing that comes to mind for me is always Dante's Inferno. Uh, but this is different in terms of it's like your personal journey through the afterlife. It's not your journey to go get someone or to go save someone. It's your journey through all the acts in life that you have ever done, through all the choices that you've ever made. And I think that like when you think about that, no one really thinks too much about that when you're like, you're living and stuff. I mean, you hear people asking older people, do you have any regrets or anything like that? But then when you're younger, you don't think about these things. You don't think of, oh, is the life I'm leading right now, how would I look back on it? And so you see them going through all these different um, challenges, all through these different things. Even in the last story, he had his different knowledge of things that brought him through these trials to get to his good afterlife. And it's just kind of like you know, like a cautionary story just to pay attention and listen to what you're doing and try to reflect on what you're doing and, keep learning new things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's what I was thinking about it.
So my favorite one to when I expanded on these, my favorite one to write about that I got done literally the quickest was the last one. Because I give you a more um detailed description of what he goes through. Like well after his essence has been purified in the 8th level, and then you go on to the 9th level. I give you a more detailed of what he's feeling and what he's experiencing and all that.
Oh,
And
okay.
these are things that you can even like, because again, you're talking like 0 through 9. Um, when I say zero,
Mhm.
because 0 is basically the void of creation you start with. It's nothing, but it's everything
Mm.
all at once, which is you, the essence, the source, the soul, before you start your journey 1 through 9, right? Your individual, your ID, your one identity, your one dimension. So we get to 9, and like you're saying, he's kind of like stepping through these. He's also like your activation and your energy. You get to 7, right? You get to chakras. Your 8th would be you connecting back to source, back to God, spirit. And then 9 is that that enlightenment, that so even the layers of ascension, to even go through this in an afterlife, but you can even go through this in a life where you're alive. And again, it's reflective. You see that inverse back and forth.
Yeah.
Um, you can take something, a journey of the underworld or afterlife, and call it a journey in this life. Because, like we just said, didn't. How do you know we're not even? How do you know you're talking to a ghost right now? I'm just an echo here. So you get to experience, like you said, the feelings of it. How is it to experience even death, even if you were alive? Like experiencing actual death while you're alive, an ego death in a way, because he's having his life flash before his eyes. So all of those things, those attachments, even though we honor them, they're not there, right? They're kind of gone.
Mm.
They're fading from you because you're not going to go experience them again. How does one perceive that? How do you go through that, right?
Yeah, and I go into that in the when I go give you more detail in that last one too.
That'll be
I
for the
talk.
next ones.
Yeah, I really liked that one. That was like one of the ones where I could I could basically take that one and write you something completely different and still connect it back to that. I could still be like, well, this is where I got that inspiration for that.
Yeah. Even like you're
And
saying,
you understand.
like Dante's Inferno, like Mimi was saying again, you're it's the emotion you're going through, the people you're saving. Even with Dante's Inferno, I always like to kind of look at it as you rescue, going to rescue somebody. What if in essence you're just rescuing yourself? You're going to save yourself in that way. It's you reflecting through, because everybody here is a reflection of each other, right? We're all an embodiment of spirit, of source, and we're living out a perspective as mirrors of each other. We mirror each other quite often, the way that we interact. So even going to save somebody else, and in essence they're saving themselves, they're going through their own soul in that. It does connect together. It's beautiful the way it was written. So thank you.
Mm.
Okay, so I don't even know how long we've been going. It's
Oh,
over.
a little over an hour.
Yeah, this one's a little bit of a long one. I know the next ones would be, because we're gonna break these into series. We're gonna go into the stages, and there's 5, and then there's 9 stages, and the next ones, and I think 9 will be a two-parter, because you have like, I don't even, you have 9 stories there.
Yep.
And I want to thank Mimi for coming in. So thank you for joining us on this one. It was a good perspective, a lot of insight, wisdom that you put in.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun reading through these stories and seeing how we all kind of look at them differently and how we take that information in and connect it to different things throughout our lives. So I've really enjoyed it. Again, thank you for having me.
Thank you, and you're always welcome back. So we enjoy more perspectives as possible. Thank you, Bucky, for writing them, for getting them written out so that we could read them, and allowing for me to read it and listen. So thank you.
Yeah.
And
Thank you for letting me listen.
so your last book, we have Tales on Winds of Time is already out, and I always put that in the description box. And both, this is on Spotify, it's on Audible, it'll be on YouTube as well, these episodes, so people can access them. And then how they could purchase your books. I did put a link to, I think it was a Barnes and Noble or an Amazon site, where they can purchase your book that's already out. And then we're awaiting on pins and needles for the next book that you have coming out, which is part of the Seed Collector. That's the other one that you're in, the other one you have. And this
Yeah.
one we're in is Growth of Souls, which in and of itself could probably be 2 books, because you have a ton of stories you've written.
Well, we can't really put everything out. That's why I had to take like 2 or 3 out of the this one that's gonna be published. I had to take like 2 or 3 because I was like, well, I can't get that deep into that sort of thing. I gotta keep it along the same lines as what would probably be published, and yeah.
it is a good way to preserve, again, the culture, your ancestors, your grandmother who, again, taught you to be a storyteller. So honoring that, and then again, just being able to speak about it, to get it out so that other people can also read that. And as you said, is it 1%, less than 1% of authors are
Yeah, like
indigenous?
1% of published authors are acknowledge that they're indigenous.
Wow. So preserving the stories.
Yeah.
Thank you. And we'll get on to the next one. We'll have the series out. I may actually put a poll out as well. I can keep talking about it to see if anybody is interested in one coming in, but if they have any other stories that they would like to be read in the next one, we can kind of
Yeah.
leave it open to that. So with that, I'll end episode 8. We'll have the next ones. We almost have enough to make another season on this. So, all right, thank you.